Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets. Eduardo Trinidad here from the team at Digital Triggers. We've got another bite-sized episode in store for you today, featuring Nate Turner, the co-founder of 10Speed. 10Speed is a tech-enabled content optimization outfit focused on helping companies get more results from their existing content. This episode is the second we have featuring Nate, and today he's going to share his expertise and break down a process on how to create blog content that's optimized to rank and drive organic traffic. Here we go.
I would love if we could zoom out. You kind of talked about how to make a piece of content that's already performed, perform again, right? Or re-optimize, reinvigorate, restart it. I'd love to have you give us kind of a breakdown of how anybody off the street could create blog content that's really optimized from the start to rank and to drive organic traffic. So think kind of net new for somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing. Like, let's assume that they're a complete noob off the street, if you will.
Probably will have to make some comments that someone who's completely new would have to search and look at a couple of these things in more depth. But so certainly from like a concept of SEO content is a term, like that would be really just any written content, typically a blog that's intended to be indexed and ranked. So like that's the objective. So I think the starting point is certainly, finding a topic. And so that's one area that I think has certainly shifted in the last 4 to 5 years, that it's much less about creating a blog post for every single keyword and iteration. And it's much more about what are the commonly grouped together keywords that sort of round out this whole topic. And that's kind of where you'd be looking to find some relevant topics that have good search volume, obviously apply to your business or your site. From there, I think very similar to the process I just described, like you would be taking some of those top keywords in that topic, searching that in Google, and looking at, the top 10 to 20 results in each of those pages that are ranking, because that's going to give you a pretty good indication of what Google is sort of identifying as the best quality, and also some ideas around the search intent. So search intent being, like informational or transactional, navigational. What's the intent of the person? Why are they searching that? What are they trying to achieve? So understanding that and looking at the results, you can get a sense of the people that are ranking well. Here's kind of how they're going about it. Again, is it like a how-to post or an examples post or a roundup of the best things, like an ultimate guide that covers the topic fully? That's really a lot of what you'd be looking at. And then, how long is it? Is it 1,200 words long? Is it 5,000 words? And kind of looking at some of those, and not that you want to just average it, but you can get a sense of like how in depth and, how all the areas that you need to cover that. And then from there, I think taking those learnings and the topic, you would then create an outline, and the structure is very important, using the right H2s, H3s. If there's like bullet points, like numbered lists, any of that kind of stuff to really organize, and structure the data, as well as if it's fairly long, maybe doing like a table of contents with the jump links as well. And really having that structure laid out is important to make sure that you're going to hit on all the right things and make it easy to understand. And also the structure and the headings are important for the search engines to kind of understand your prioritization in your hierarchy of the information. Then you're finally going about writing the content, which I think is pretty straightforward. You're kind of just seeing what those sections are in your writing. And I think another important area is like adding valuable resources. So you get any charts or videos, anything to just put those in line and make it something that someone doesn't have to leave your page and go find more information. You're kind of bringing it all together in one. And then kind of closing it out with like the most common, metadata, like title tag, meta description, a lot of that stuff. And then I think the piece that maybe gets forgotten a lot is like just promoting it, like distributing it. So sharing across channels, promoting that, doing some outreach to get backlinks to that specific page, not just to your site in general. So that takes some work to, go about and do some research and outbound email to get backlinks, but all of that can then kind of help push that up as well. So really doing your best to understand what's going on, how to fully cover the topic, how to structure the post correctly to achieve that, writing and then promoting it.
Oh man, that's fantastic. I think that's a really thorough outline without like literally giving every particular detail. I think that somebody could definitely like Google search and find what does each of those things mean as well. So I think you did a good job hitting it from the top without too much detail. I'm curious, man.
Cool.
Your opportunity to insert a plug for 10 speed. Where does 10 speed fit in with that now that everybody understands what we just went through? Like, how does it bolt in? Which pieces does it handle? Who are you guys kind of built for? If somebody, maybe knows or works with a customer, or could be a customer of yours, who is that audience that you guys are really after?
Yeah, so there's a couple opportunities. In terms of optimizing existing content, companies that have a good amount of 100 or more existing blog posts, and we do a lot with like B2B SaaS, but also some consumer brands and like D2C, and that the range is. It works across those. I think the common uniting factor in terms of identifying them is any company that like organic traffic is one of the top 3 drivers of revenue. So companies that aren't just trying to get traffic for the sake of traffic, but they know this is a core channel for revenue and for growing the business. And so that's why it works for companies across those. So any of those companies is great, and we can kind of layer in it and optimize the content. We do also work with companies on sort of the process I just outlined, for just helping them tee up new content and build new optimized content. So again, kind of across those same types of companies, but of everything I described, like we're doing the conversations to understand who's your audience, who's the buyer persona and the pain points they have. We're understanding the general topics you want to go after, like high level topics. And so within that, we do all the research to find the topics. We do all the search intent analyzation, like analyzing everything there. And then we do the entire outline for you. And so that is basically the meaty part of the first half of what I described. And so each time we deliver a content brief, it has all of that research in there, all of the outline, and then our customers take that. They have the subject matter expertise on their business, and they know the brand voice, all that. So they take it, and either in-house or freelancers, they're writing that content, adding the resources. We do give guidance on the metadata and stuff as well, and then publishing it. So we really do the heavy lifting on the front part. So customers just know we're going to get 2 briefs a month from 10 speed or 4 or 6, and they slot it into their content calendar, follow that content brief in the outline, and away they go.
I love it, man. That's such a big bottleneck for so many people. They'll have some freelance writers, but then it's like, what do I write about? And it's a big time investment. I feel like not many companies really have that process down. And if they do have it down, it's probably like what you said at the beginning. It's just like they're just kind of automating so much of it and not really thinking through it or writing good briefs, that the content that comes out the other side is just kind of and it's just kind of adding more clutter than any real kind of content asset.
Totally. It's we see it a lot. I mean, that's, we'll talk to a company and they'll say, this is great. Like, this is the part I dread the most, is feels like it comes up it just comes up so often that I got to sit down and try and figure out the topics. And I think I know what I'm doing. I don't really want to do this. And if we can just figure that out, we're going to be doing it in the sort of the best way possible. It saves them time, and they're getting, a level of expertise that you wouldn't have time to do in-house, or, it's hard to hire for that role in-house. And then also, just works better and saves time.
I love it, man. If you were speaking with a good quality prospect, but they're not getting a third or more of their traffic or their sales from inbound or from organic, and their SEO presence was not very good or not very authoritative. Let's say it was kind of newer, right? And they're in that Google sandbox type of period. They really don't have many links. They don't have much ranking. They're barely even ranking for their brand, right? And they're at kind of that stage. What advice would you give them in hopes that, hey man, if they execute this over the next 6, 12, 18 months, maybe then they'll be in a stage or 2 years that we could work with them?
Yeah, we certainly will entertain working with a company who is at that stage. So I'm definitely have had a number of conversations around that. I think the biggest thing that we want to make sure is that there's an understanding, like that we're setting good expectations that there's probably a longer ramp when you are newer. And not in the typical like, oh, all SEO takes 9 to 12 months, because I don't think that's true. But if you are a newer company, not many links, like you're going to have a longer road to results. And so we have that conversation. We're just very clear about expectations, and in order to work with that, it's really finding people that, from the top down and bottom up within the company, no, we're committed to creating content and content marketing. Like, we know we just need to start it now because it will be a big channel for us later. And you certainly come across plenty that understand it, know it's an investment, and they just need to start it. And so that's typically where we would be looking, is like really just kind of, again, talking through, here's the topics, here's what your competitors are doing, like your direct business competitors are doing. Here's what the competition in the SERPs for those topics, that's what it looks like. So kind of paint a pretty realistic picture, but then certainly can help with those companies, because creating it, the content that's optimized from day one is also helpful, and getting some good, thorough content that you can build more links and all that stuff. So it definitely works. I think just the expectations have to be set correctly. Yeah,
definitely. 100% agree.
Thanks for tuning in and Show Me the Nuggets. If you've been enjoying the podcast and find our content helpful, please visit our Apple Podcast page, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a review. Joe and the whole team have been working hard to bring more value to the show. Your feedback will go a long way in helping us make the show better and reach a wider audience.